Just leave some by the back door also. So there's enough going around that people will get. Hi, sorry. Okay. Welcome on this very rainy morning to EE 4710 Intro to Network Engineering. I'm Professor Rubenstein. And let me get one of those. So today all we're really going to do is have a very general overview of the course and very general overview of the material. Is there just one that I can get also, please? Thanks. Here, just leave the rest of them by the door. Okay. So that's the name of the course. My name is Professor Rubenstein. TA is Jambai Ma, aka Richard. And I guess everything else I'll just talk about is on the sheet. Okay, so CVN guys, if you want to point to the sheet. Hello? You got to point on the table. Yeah, you got to point to the table. You got to pay attention. You got to show what's on the table. No. Yeah, and yeah, I'm not gonna repeat myself like this over and over. So it's last time. All right, CVN students. Hopefully, they'll keep pace so you guys can keep up. I won't be going to the table that often. Okay, so I handed these out. Probably an outdated version is on the web right now. I'm going to put an updated version right after class. But this is the basic information for the course. So I'm the professor. It's fall 2004. This is my office, where when I have office hours, that's where they'll be. Richard, we're currently still locating seating for him. So his location is not yet known, but by next class, it definitely should be. The mailbox location, which may be useful for you, and I'll explain in a little bit in a moment later why. MUD 1312, currently it's on the 12th floor. All right, so one temporary correction. Currently the EE office is on the 12th floor. Because they're renovating the main office. Okay. Okay, please pen back down to the paper. Thank you. Okay. A lot of information about the course. So where you can get homework, solutions, things like that will be at the course URL. It's my web page with this /4710 tacked on at the end. Okay. You go to that URL, it takes you to the course web page. We meet from 9:10 to 10:25. Okay, Monday, Wednesday in this room, MUD 1024. There was a room change recently, so I don't know, maybe that's why some students aren't here. Maybe some students just have trouble waking up in the morning. Whatever the reason, this is where the course will be. And I'd appreciate it if you try to get here on time. Homework will be due at the beginning of class. I have alternate methods to turn it in if you're unable to be here by 9:10, but when the homework is due, it's due at 9:10 a.m. Okay, I come in, I start lecturing, I take the homework, I move it off the desk, you bring it in 9:11, 9:12. If I'm in a really, really good mood, maybe I'll accept it. Maybe not. Okay, it's your risk. So get your homework in on time. Okay? Okay, so what is this course about? We're going to cover the fundamentals of network engineering from a theoretical perspective. Okay, so it says theoretical underpinnings of the physical layer. We really don't cover a physical layer, but design, protocol analysis, the data link layer, medium access sublayer design, routing, prefix addressing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, probably not a lot of that makes a whole lot of sense to you right now. Later on, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. So, but basically, it's about how networks function and mathematical modeling of those networks, theoretical understanding of protocols, etc. Why they're designed the way they're designed. Okay, grades. The grade breakdown is 20% homework, 35% midterm, 45% final. Okay, there's a little blurb here about doing homework. Now here's the real, well, let's go through this whole thing and then we'll talk about it later. The midterm will be on October 13th. I can't be very flexible about that because I'm traveling around that time, so I'll give the midterm, then I take off, and so I really can't move the midterm back. If you want to take it early, maybe that's possible. I don't know. Okay, a note on how I give exams. Okay, I present material in class. I give you guys homework. I care more about when I give exams, I try to test your problem-solving skills, and not how well you're able to memorize facts, or how you're able to memorize formulas, or your ability to apply formulas. Okay, it's the logical reasoning that I really focus on. And as a result, my tests tend to be hard, and they're graded on a curve. So, but again, I'm not going to ask you to spit back what is the formula for the exponential distribution or something like that. I'll ask you questions about how you use those the exponential distribution. You have to understand why it's an important distribution, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, and also a note on effort. So even though this breakdown says 20% homework, 35% midterm, 45% final. Okay, pretty much everybody who turns in their homework gets, generally, it depends on the grader, gets 80 to 100% on the homework. Okay, and then there's a lot more variance on the midterm and the final. Okay, so probably doing well on the homework and doing poorly on the midterm and the final isn't going to help you so much. So if you're worried, I was always a bad test taker. If you're worried that you're not a good test taker, and you're worried that's going to affect your grade, again, what I really care about is whether or not you understand the material. And so I can think of two ways you can show me you know the material. You come to office hours, you go to class, you participate, you demonstrate that you understand what's going on. From time to time, I'll stop and ask questions. You can show me that you're following the material on the board. I make mistakes all the time. If you correct those mistakes, those kinds of things show me that you're paying attention and understand what's going on. Okay? Or you can ace the midterm and the final. All right? Really, that's I care to see that you understand what's going on, and I see that from how you do on the midterm and final, or from how I interact with you. And sometimes students don't understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes they show up to office hours, they sit there quietly, they do poorly on the midterm and final, they come back to me, they say, hey, I participated, I went to your office hours, but you never spoke up. And you never did anything to demonstrate to me that you understood what's going on. In that case, again, if I don't see that you understand what's going on, I can't give you a good grade. All right. So all that's written here as well. Okay, the text. Erkts and Gallagher is the required text. We don't follow it very closely. I refer to it from time to time, but really this course has no text. There really isn't a good textbook that goes along with this course. In fact, a new textbook just came out. I was looking at it. I was hoping it would be a good match. Unfortunately, it wasn't. I didn't include it on this list. I can put it on here as well. But this text, Erkts and Gallagher, is very hard. It's a graduate level text, and I think a lot of graduate courses don't even get through the whole thing. This is a undergrad / intro grad class. So for this course, it's somewhat advanced. Probably of the additional texts, the one that would be most useful is this Garcia Wajaja text down here in the middle. So if you're really interested in buying a second text, it would be this one. And some people have even commented that text is more useful than the required text itself. So consider that. These other ones, Carrozza and Ross and Tannenbaum, are, I would say, fluffy. They're I mean, if you're into computer science, they teach from more of a computer science perspective. So they really more descriptive than analytical. And so for the purposes of this course, they're really not appropriate. Okay. Computing accounts, we don't need them for this course. Cheating, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but doing poorly in a class, that's excusable. It's happened to all of us. You live through it. Cheating is very offensive, and I really recommend against doing it. Homeworks, I don't think anybody's going to bust you for copying a problem, but again, the homework grades really aren't going to matter much. So really the purpose of the homework is to prepare you for the exam. So if you're not doing the homework, if you're copying the homework, you're only hurting yourself. I mean, it's not doing you any good. If you get caught cheating on the midterm or the final, I've busted people before. It's not worth it. I mean, that can really screw up your life. Getting a C in a class or B in a class, that's recoverable. Get busted for cheating, it's over. So I really strongly caution you not to do it. Okay? And last but not least, student feedback. So I'm always looking for ways to improve the course. If you have any comments or criticism, if you find anything wrong in the lecture, please feel free to tell me. I know I make a lot of mistakes in class, so the sooner I'm corrected, the better. And if you're not happy about the way I'm doing something, too much homework, homework's too hard, need more office hours, things of that sort, just let me know. Okay? Office hours, I have office hours. I think I glossed over that too fast. So going back, Tuesday 4 to 5 p.m. and today after class from 11 to 12. I actually have a meeting scheduled from probably going through 11, so I can postpone the meeting if people come by. I didn't really expect people to come by today. Generally after the first class, people don't have a whole lot of questions. We haven't really done all that much yet. So, yeah, question? You said you don't follow the book that closely, or I don't follow the book that closely, right?
But we still suggest that we get it.
I leave that up to you. I think you'd be fine without it. Some people find it useful as a reference text if you don't read it. There's some useful background stochastic process stuff in there. As a supplement to what we're doing, it's useful at times, but the material I've taken from this course doesn't come out of that book directly. A lot of it isn't even in that book. So really the best thing is going to be your class notes. I know it's somewhat inconvenient that the class meets so early in the morning. I'm not a morning person myself, but I find this is a good way to motivate myself to get up in the morning, right? Otherwise I sleep till like 9 or 10. So or if I'm not sleeping, I don't make it to my office by then. And get it out of the way, right? Do other things with your day. Go to another class, or I don't know, go have a nice long lunch. Also, you can take this class jointly with 4119 in the CS department, which is also a networking course. So this one focuses more on theoretical fundamentals. That one focuses more on programming, the more computer sciencey side of things. That's taught by Professor Mishra, who I collaborate very closely with in research. So we're good friends, and we do our best to keep the coverage of the two courses separate. It's on the same topics, but very different style of coverage. Any questions? Yeah?
If you're not really going to be relying on the book that much, how does homework work?
How does homework work? I hand out the homework problems, and they're generally pretty hard, and so I'm fine with people collaborating on the homework. Really, again, the idea is to solve those problems, but solve them with an understanding. Okay, so there are lots of ways to go about solving a problem. The best way is to do it on your own and come up with the right answer. Okay, sometimes that's too time-consuming, or you're just going to get stuck. You don't understand things well enough. I would say the next best thing is to is to talk to another student or myself or Richard about where it is you're stuck and ask for hints to help get you going again. Okay? Because that way you still go through the learning process. The next best thing, which is far worse, is to have somebody show you what they did. Because if you don't go through the mental exercise of solving the problem, you've missed the hard part. And the worst thing is just copying it right off. Okay, you'll get the credit, but you won't have learned anything. And come midterm final time, I don't just re-ask questions that have been on homeworks or that we've covered in class. I mean, I always put a twist into the question that makes sure that you really understand sort of the real background of what's going on. And so you know, do your homework and try and do it right. Okay. So class meets from 9:10 to 10:25. Just so everyone's aware. It's EE classes usually meet at 9:30, right? Or 9:35. So this one starts a bit early. Okay. Any other questions before we start covering the material? So there'll be a homework handed out next time. Oh, yeah, I did want to make one other comment. This course relies heavily, especially in the beginning, on probability theory. If you haven't had probability before, you're going to really struggle. It also relies a bit on algorithms, although I'll go more slowly through that, and some linear algebra. Nothing too sophisticated, though. But the probability theory is the important part. Okay, and I'll do a review the first 2 weeks of class of probability theory, but the review assumes you've seen it before, and we're really going to fly through it. Okay, we're not doing anything super sophisticated with probability. It's just we're taking some pretty simple fundamental concepts and really making a lot of use of them. And you really got to understand them well. And if it's the first time you're seeing them, it's hard to understand them to the point where you need them for this class. Everyone okay with that? Any other questions? Okay, so why don't we get started? So this course is going to be about networks and computer communication networks in particular. Okay, I had this brief conversation yesterday with Al Aho, Professor Aho in the CS department. He wanted to know how you define a computer communication network. Okay, he's one of these computer scientists / linguist guys worried about, you know, don't use circular definitions or things like that. I'm not a stickler about definitions. I think as long as you understand the basic concept, you'll be okay. So what is it? What is a computer network? You've got some computer in one location and another computer in another location. And these days it's not very hard to explain because everybody uses computers and computer networks. And all you want to do is get information from one computer to the other. So this one has some information, and maybe you want to send it over to that computer. And the computer network is the medium to exchange information. Okay, there are all various sorts of information. Okay, can people tell me what types of information you're familiar with exchanging over a computer network? It's not a trick question. It's an easy question. So what kinds of information have you exchanged over a computer network? Text. Okay. in the context of, for instance, email, right? Or files. Anything else? Like 15 years ago, this was much harder. These days, there should be like 20 things people can rattle off. Also, I like class participation, so the class is going to move a lot more slowly if people don't speak up, because we'll just get stuck on simple things like this. Pictures, music. You're going to say something? Audio. Video, I guess in some sense that's pictures. I mean, information's a very vague term. So these are sort of lower level descriptions of the things I was thinking of. Pictures, music, audio, video. You also have web pages, software, virus updates, viruses, right? I mean, it's not something we want to have on there, or most of us don't want it on there. Obviously, some people do. People created these viruses, but they're there. Okay, et cetera, right? I mean, the point is, it's a medium that's exchanging lots and lots of things, lots and lots of different types of information. Okay. Now, all information can be represented as binary strings. In binary, let's just say. Right? Zeros and ones. So it's in a digital computer communication network. Hey, you guys are late, you know. Class starts at 9:10. Oh, you're in the wrong room. Are they still down there? Oh, okay, good. That's right. They changed the room. All right, so I'll give you guys an excuse. You don't fail yet. All right, so everyone knows class starts at 9:10. It's gonna be in this room for the rest of the term. Well, let's continue on, and when these people show up, I'll do a quick run through again. Okay, so where are we? So, I'll do the run through in a couple minutes. So all info can be represented in binary. It's a sequence of zeros and ones. Okay, and so we're going to be concerned with. There are lots of challenges in exchanging these zeros and ones. Okay. Any questions from the people who walked in just now? So, well, can anybody guess what some of the challenges might be in exchanging these zeros and ones in a computer networking environment? Yeah. Okay, we're jumping ahead. Okay, so some of the problems. Something we call network congestion, which we'll actually get to in the later part of the term. Network congestion is too many computers trying to send too much stuff over a network with limited capacity. Sort of like the highways, right? Too many cars get on, you get traffic congestion. Yeah, Sebastian. Noise. Okay. So lossy or misinterpreted bits. Is my writing big enough? You'll notice as every class, as the class progresses, my writing starts to always sort of slope downward. I don't know why this is. I try not. I always wind up doing it. So I mean, you can see it's already starting to happen. I think maybe my arm gets tired or something. I don't know. Or I start writing more to the right. For whatever reason, it always does it. So you'll as the day goes on, you'll start tilting your head. Okay. Noisy or misinterpreted bits, where a bit is these zeros or ones. Okay. A bit is a 0 or 1. Any other problems? Yeah. Reliability. Okay, not orthogonal to these other two problems, right? If you have noise, you have lossy or misinterpreted bits. If there's network congestion, so things get delayed, you have reliability problems, right? The network's unreliable. The data you're trying to transfer might not get there reliably. So we want reliable delivery, right? We don't want chunks of our email to appear missing or our pictures, with parts of them out of place, what have you. Songs, music, right? These days in the digital era, if the song isn't 100% perfect, if there's any noise in it whatsoever, it's not worth keeping. Anything else? Yeah.
Speed.
Speed. How do I term that? Okay, that's something we call quality of service. Or limits in. Okay, so transmission's too slow, too lossy, etc. Okay, so there are all these different sorts of problems. And because there are all these different kinds of problems, it's too confusing, too difficult to tackle them all at once. So the researchers in networks in the early days came up with something called the network protocol stack. Okay? There's what's called an application layer. Let's see, we're just going to use the 5-layer stack. So application, transport, network, data link, physical. Okay, so these are the 5 layers of the protocol stack. And in this course, we're going to tackle these 3 in order. So we're going to do this one first, this one second, this one third. Okay? Can everybody see the board here? If not, you can at least watch it on the monitor. Does anybody have trouble seeing? I'll eventually slide the board up anyhow, but if you're having difficulty seeing it, let me know, and I can try and, well, these are flipped right now. I can't bring this one up. It'll hide behind the other board. Anyway, can anybody have a problem seeing what's there right now? Okay. Okay. So what are each of these layers responsible for? So the physical layer is actually responsible for getting. It's actually involved in the physics of getting a bit from one point to the other. Okay, so it's not something we're going to concern ourselves with in this class. 3701 is really the focus of the physical layer. right? It's the physics or it's the understanding of how you transmit information, where the information is just a bit, a 0 or a 1. Okay, how do you actually get that from one point to the other? From the perspective of our course, we're going to start at the data link layer. We're going to assume that we have a pipe, okay, and across that pipe we can send 0s or 1s, okay? So we have a pipe or wire or medium. We don't really care what the medium is. That allows us to send 0s and 1s. Okay, so let me say a bit more about the data link layer before I keep going up the stack. Okay, so from the data link layer, we're not concerned so much with how to physically get this 0 or 1 across this link, but we are concerned with addressing the problems if some problem arises that doesn't allow us to get, if there's something stopping us from getting this 0 or 1 across the link. So what if the attempt to send 0 or 1 across the link fails? Okay, and why can it fail? It might fail because there's too much noise, or interference. Other devices may be using the medium when our device wants to send. Etc. Okay, so when this occurs, there's a need to, we'll say, recover the bit. Okay, so that's what the data link layer is all about. Bits can get lost. We want to recover those bits. So just to sort of summarize, we're going to have two devices. Okay, here D is a device, or two or more devices. Okay, they're going to be accessing this shared medium, and we want to send bits from one device to the other, and there'll be various sorts of problems. And so from the data link perspective, that's the problem we want to solve. Okay, trying to send bits across a wire, there's contention, there's noise, there's interference. We want to recover. Okay, so what are we going to look at in the data link layer? Okay, the first thing we're going to look at is error correcting codes. Okay, so if some of your bits get lost but not all of them, there's some really neat ways to recover the lost bits of information. Okay, there's some very sophisticated coding techniques. We're really going to scratch the surface. I mean, some of the stuff that people do in this area really just fascinates me. Okay, so that's data link layer. Also, MAC, which stands for Medium Access Collision. Okay. Resolution protocols. Okay, so if a bunch of devices try to transmit at the same time, and they're conflicting, they're blocking each other, and they have to try and send again. Well, we're going to look at protocols that handle this. There's some backing off, some attempts to retransmit, etc. Okay, and that about summarizes the data link layer. Okay, any questions? Okay, so that's the data link layer. How to get bytes, now not just bits, but streams of information. Okay, from point A to point B. From point A and point B are directly connected by a medium. So what does the network layer focus on? The network layer focuses on, for lack of a better term, routing through large networks. Okay? So for the network layer, our view of the network is no longer just going to be devices directly connected to one another. Okay, you're going to start having different kinds of devices. So what are called end systems, which are the computers, end system devices, which are the computers you're familiar with, and then things inside the middle of the network called routers, which they're not the initiating points or recipients of information, they're just forwarding boxes essentially. And so you're going to have a bunch of these end system devices scattered around the world. Okay, and then you have these routers that are all connected and help you to reach these devices. Okay, and it can be, the network can get very complicated, have lots of wires, lots of connections. Okay, so now device A wants to send a message to device B. Okay, you don't just want to send those bits everywhere throughout the network. I mean, imagine the networks we have today, where your computer at home is connected, and my computer at home is connected, and my laptop is connected half the time, and now even my Palm Pilot has wireless connectivity. Okay, cell phones transmit data. There's a bunch of machines in the school here. There's satellite. All these things are a lot of them are using the same network medium. Phone calls now a lot of times are going across the internet. Okay, a lot of these things are using data networks. You don't just want all this data going everywhere, right? It's important to direct it to a specific place, so that's what the network layer takes care of. The network layer is responsible for finding the route that will get the information that's supposed to go from A to B, go to A to B. Okay, so the network layer finds paths to desired destinations. I don't know how often you guys fly, but if you ever use a website like AA.com or Travelocity.com, right? It basically tells you this is the plane you want to take, and especially for students, right? You guys are always looking for the cheapest fares, so sometimes you got to do like 4 hops, right? You want to go from New York to California. They'll say, oh, there's a flight to go New York to Toronto to Texas to Chicago to California, and that'll save you like $50. And students are like, I'll do it. I used to do that, and then eventually you get older and time becomes more precious than money, and you don't do that sort of stuff anymore. It's like, I'll pay the extra $50 and just get me a flight. It goes direct. Anyway, that's what the network layer does. It finds paths, and in some cases it also does a little bit more. Finds paths to desired destinations. Sometimes the paths have specific requirements. we might want the shortest path, a certain amount of bandwidth on the path, etc. Okay, but that's what it basically does, is it finds paths to desired destinations. And something else that we're going to talk about in the network layer is what's called addressing. Or let's just say sophisticated addressing. And what I mean by sophisticated is I would even consider the post office's addressing system to be sophisticated. I mean, think about the post office. In fact, you can tell the researchers in the networking community, when they dealt with routing, they got a lot of ideas from systems that already worked in practice. Okay, so think about the post office system, right? I want to send a letter to my brother. Okay, I can't just address it Sam Rubenstein, stick it in a mailbox. I mean, there's a lot of Sam Rubensteins. Even if there was only one Sam Rubenstein, right, the post office is going to get this letter, and they don't know where he lives now. It's just not an efficient mailing system. So I have to get my brother's address, which has a certain breakdown. It's got a zip code and a street address and an apartment and country, city, etc. Right? There's all these mechanisms to make it easy to find. So I can tell the post office, you know, my brother lives at such and such an address, and then they get this letter I want to send to him, and then they know how to handle it. They know how to route, find a path to get my letter to my brother. Right? They'll put it on a truck, bring the truck to some main depot, put it on a plane if necessary. My brother's in Brooklyn, so it's not going on a plane in this case, unless I'm in, you know, Ireland or France or something, sending them a letter. Right? Anyway, you get the idea. You need some sophisticated addressing when you got all these machines scattered throughout the world. Right? It's not enough just to say Professor Rubenstein's machine. You know, I want to send Professor Rubenstein an email. You know, you can't just say Professor Rubenstein's machine. It won't just go there. I have lots of machines too, right? Again, you know, Palm Pilot and laptop and machine at home, machine in my office, etc. I may be traveling, so you need something more sophisticated. Okay, so that's the network layer. Any questions? Okay, and then the last layer we're going to be dealing with in this class is the transport layer, which is dealing with what is called packet loss and network congestion. Okay, so at the link layer, we're going to try to handle losses that are due to corrupted bits or lost bits, or devices trying to transmit at the same time. Then we've got this network layer, which sends things way across the network. And So to explain the transport layer, think about two people talking on a phone. All right, I'm not a very good artist, hence I had to go into engineering. I didn't have many alternatives other than that. I was hoping I was going to make it to the Olympics in track. I was a sprinter in high school, but you know, by age 20, I realized that actually I must have realized it earlier on. I really wanted to be an Olympic sprinter. In fact, this guy that won the 400 meters, what's his name? Anybody here follow track? There was a white guy who won the 400 meters. So I was a sprinter, right? There's not a whole lot of white successful sprinters. So that was always sort of the excuse I gave myself is, well, you know, nobody white ever really wins, and then this guy won, right? So I guess, you know, 15 years after I gave up track, you know, I thought, you know, I should have gone for it more, but you know, I just wishful thinking, right? Okay. Anyhow, think of two people, getting back to the phone example. Think of two people talking on a phone. Okay? So here's person one saying something. Okay? And you can imagine that the phone tries to correct for errors, right? If there's noise or what have you, they run some algorithms that try and fix the noise. Okay? So this person says hello. Okay? For whatever reason, maybe there's too much noise at some point, or maybe this person just couldn't hear well, or there's a drop. I mean, think about it on your cell phone, right? Certainly on your cell phone, they have the, so hang on a sec. We have to get with the times. Here we go. All right, there's the guy talking on the cell phone, and we'll put them both on cell phones. This one's listening. Everyone can follow my art, all right? You can see how this is a face. Give this guy sunglasses. Okay? So they're talking on the phone, and for whatever reason, the signal gets dropped. Okay? So now this guy has to say, what? And that's the transport layer for you. That's basically what the transport layer is going to be doing. Okay? You're going to try and send some bits or a packet, right? A whole message. It may not get to the other side. The other side has to basically inform the sender, I didn't get your message. No comprendo, right? Okay? So it's going to be handling recovering from lost. I already wrote this down, right? Recovering from lost packets. And I guess the other problem is how do I? What's a good example here? Actually, okay. Here's a good example. I don't know. How many of you are Jewish? Okay, 3. Okay. I once went to who here knows what a bar mitzvah is? Okay. Bar mitzvah is a coming of age in the Jewish religion, when a boy comes of age and becomes a man, right? So I once went to an Orthodox bar mitzvah, okay, and the boy becoming a man is reading from the Torah, doing this big step into manhood, and everybody was talking while he was praying. It's, in Jewish communities, it's also a very social gathering, right? So this kid is becoming a man, and nobody's paying attention. And the rabbi had to get up. The rabbi's like the main preacher, and says, "Will everybody please be quiet? The bar mitzvah boy is, reading from the Torah." And everyone was quiet. Okay, and that's also sort of the role of the transport layer, which is. I mean, that's a pretty lame example of congestion, right? So there was just too much stuff going on, and the message wasn't getting through, which was that we were all supposed to be listening to the bar mitzvah boy, okay? And so making conditions more amenable to the transfer of data. Or for the successful transfer of data. Okay? Yeah.
Other ways of transport is that instead of just correcting zeros and ones, actually are correcting the whole packet. Is that
Yeah, it's just a different. You're collecting information, but at a different level. In the data link layer, you're trying to recover from some bits that may have been flipped, or the bits themselves are erroneous. Tiny, you know, kind of tiny little cracks that you want to heal over. And transport layers is if a whole house fell down, or floorboards are missing, or I don't know, bricks are missing in the wall. You're just going through a different process to repair the wall. Right? Maybe that's a good way to think about it. Data link layer is like fixing little cracks in bricks to prevent the wall from falling down. And then if the bricks get too cracked, you just take them out and put another brick in. That's a transport layer. Okay? So that ends today's overview. For those of you who showed up late, let's just run through again very quickly. Richard was here, but I guess he left. He's the TA, not here anymore, right? And we're going to pin down his office hours. Everyone got one of these? The handout for today? So basically, what I told people at the beginning of class was class starts at 9:10, and it'll always be in this room. Your grade is 20% homework, 35% midterm, 45% final. Homework, the real purpose of homework is to prepare you help you understand the material in a deeper sense, and to prepare you for the midterm and the final. And everyone generally does the same on the homework. So doing well or doing poorly on that, a few points really isn't going to affect your grade. Your grade is really going to depend on the midterm and the final. And because I know people suffer from something I always suffered from, which was messing up on tests, I value class participation, coming to office hours, basically demonstrating to me what you know. When I talk about class participation, I don't just mean coming and sitting there quietly. I mean demonstrating to me that you understand what's going on. Or if you don't understand what's going on, coming to me and working with me to help you understand it better. Okay, so just sitting in, I usually have 5 to 10 people in my office hours. Sitting in the back quietly is not a method for demonstrating to me what's going on. I mean, coming to me with the homework problem half solved and saying, here's where I got stuck, can you give me some help on how to finish it? That's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Coming to me with the homework and saying, I don't know how to do problem 3. That doesn't show me you've learned anything or know anything. So I watch, the class is small enough where I can watch how individuals are doing, and if I see that they understand what's going on, that can also help them. If you're naturally good at taking tests, you can get an A doing that. You don't need to come to office hours. You don't need to come to class. That's fine as well. One other thing I forgot to mention. So CVN students, these are the folks that are watching this on videotape. They have 48 hours extra to turn in the homework because there's a delay on the tape. Students in class, I like the homework at the beginning of class. All right? I demand to have the homework by the beginning of class. So that means 9:10, I walk in, I take the homework, and I start teaching, and I don't accept late homework after that. Okay? And people who've been in my classes before, they'll attest to that. Every once in a while, I can be a nice guy and say, okay. But I can also not be a nice guy, and you spend all week on it. I'll say, no, I won't accept it. Again, it won't affect your grade all that much if you miss one or two homeworks. But since everyone pretty much does well on the homework, it does hurt you if you don't get it in. So make sure to get it in on time. And if you're worried about getting in by 9:10 a.m., I'll take it a day early. You could slide it under my office door before 9. Okay, before 9. You can drop it in my mailbox the day before. Okay, all those methods are acceptable as well. That way you just have to be a little bit, what's the word? Don't wait till the last minute. Organized. Don't procrastinate. Planning ahead. This class ends at 10:25, right? So all right, so we'll end early today. Any questions, concerns? Send me. The best way to contact me is email. Usually I have like a 2 to 3 day turnaround. I mean, I just have stacks of email sitting in my box. But if it's urgent, I read them all very quickly. I just don't always answer right away. So the best way to get in touch with me is email or come to my office hours. If you can't make my office hours, or if they're inconvenient, or you want extra time, ask me after class, send me email, and I'm usually available to do that sort of thing. And there's a schedule on the back here, and you'll notice I'm gone for a couple of scheduled classes, and we'll just not have class on those days around the midterm time. So, okay. Hey Ezra.
Hi.
Good. How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Yours?
Great.